right. Good afternoon and welcome to Tea and Conversation Live. Yes, we are ready. Tea and Conversation Live. I am excited. 2025, new year, new things. Go ahead on like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I am your host, Candy Lowe. Yep. Go ahead on and share with your friends right now. I have one of my favorite sisters in the Tampa Bay area, Kris Assefa, and she is doing amazing things. She has been for quite some time, and I have been following her. She has been a part of the Black Business Bus Tour, Tea and Conversation, and so many other things that I have been doing in the community, and so many other organizations, groups, friends in the community, making sure that she has been spreading the word. Blue Sky Insurance Solution. How you doing, sis? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How you doing? Looking lovely
Oh,
as always. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I lived through you a month or so when you were on your traveling journey and watching the videos and the pictures and the meditation and the quietness and the stillness, the great nutritional food that you were eating, that you've been that way for so long. And it was just an honor and a pleasure to just get on Facebook and see where you were throughout the summer going into the fall. Yeah,
hmm
it was
Yeah,
nice.
this was definitely a year of elevation and getting back to like our ancestral roots. It ties in, with everything that we do here with the Black Business Bus Tour, with helping to support our community and elevating it in ways. So it was a nice journey for me in terms of exposure because I had never been to the continent and I wanted to make sure that I want to go there when I can, really truly experience it in a meaningful way. And also, I'm glad you give that feedback because I said, if people can't be there, they can still be there with me. And it inspires and encourages somebody to, who was maybe not wanting to do it to go. And, I went with Ange and I love Ange, she's another business owner here. She's doing her thing. And so, it accomplished a couple of things. So, and thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah. I enjoyed it to the fullest, and definitely being able to connect with roots, ancestors, and coming back and just really with a sense of self and pride and joy in your heart. So yeah. So what's going on with Blue Sky Insurance Solution 2025? I know that there's an open window and then there's a closed window of advantage plans, insurance plans. Give us a little bit about that and how all that works for those that are listening. That I know my mom and a number of people have reached out. Cecilia Mitchell with Hands
Hmm
of Hope Sickle Cell Awareness has reached out, and you've helped so many people in the going in the right direction when it comes to trying to get the best coverage for them at that time.
Sure. That's a great question. So, what I'm going to do is take just two tiny steps backward to take three steps forward, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
So, Blue Skies Insurance Solutions, we're right here in the community. If you know where 34th and East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is, and that was intentional. I wanted to be in the heart of Tampa, in the heart of
Yes.
where we are to be able to service us. Um, and that being said, one of the first things you started talking about Medicare Advantage. My first tenet with the company is the mantra helping, resolving, relieving, one person at a time in the multitudes. So I have to set the framework of how we operate because that's very intentional and important. The second
Yes.
thing that I would say is that before we even get into the options that are available for individuals who are Medicare recipients, I make sure that I educate them on Medicare, right? Um, the reason being, Medicare is regulated by CMS. Okay. So that's a government
Mhm.
entity. Now, question. So when you're dealing with a government entity, do you think that the information is going to be simple or complex?
Definitely complex.
Definitely. And there are lots of little loopholes, nuances, and things. Even year after year, there are updates to just, we call it traditional or original Medicare. And
Hmm.
so that's the first tenet, to make sure that people, number one, are educated and have at least just like a base level understanding of what it means to have Medicare, that red, white, and blue card. Then from there, now we get into the different options that are available for somebody who has Medicare. And as you said, right now, just ended December 7th, it's what's known as the annual election period. Or um, what people like to say is, I mean, they are bombarded with phone calls, texts,
Hmm.
emails, and the TV is talking at you, telling people that you can qualify for all these things. And what I would say, the cautionary tale that I've experienced a bunch of times with folks in the community is talk with somebody like me, talk with somebody who's licensed, who's a broker, because all of those ads that you see are, for the most part, just trying to draw you in to some big company way off in the sky who is not really looking at your individual situation and whether or not you will qualify for, everybody's always asking about the food. You know how many times I wish I had $1 for every time somebody asks food card, something, pay my utility bills, and things of that nature. And so uh, only a small subsegment of the population do qualify for those benefits, and that's if they have both Medicare and Medicaid. So
Ah.
that being said, uh, the annual enrollment period goes from October 15th through December 7th. Whatever choice you make becomes effective. So it became effective January 1st of this year. And as you said, so can people make a change? Yes and no, and maybe. The answer is always it depends on their specific situation. There is something. So CMS is the regulating body for Medicare, and we have something, it's called MAOEP. So January, February, March, if an individual is on a Medicare Advantage plan, then
Hmm.
they can make a change um, to a light plan. And then there are other folks who are what we call dual eligible. So they have Medicare, they have that red, white, and blue card, and then they
Hmm.
have Medicaid. And there are different levels. I don't want to get too deep because we could be here all day talking about this. Anyway, some of those individuals can also make a change. And then another exception is individuals who have a chronic special need. So these companies have chronic special needs plans. What does that look
Hmm.
like? So if somebody is a diabetic, they have
Hmm.
congestive heart failure, COPD, things of that nature, they also may have an opportunity.
To make a change.
Yes.
Okay. 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 That is one of the questions that I've gotten in the past is that changing period. When can you change your um, and I'm not sure if I'm using the correct term, my advantage plan. And I do know that there's a window, look like about 30 days prior to whenever I'm assuming the changing over is. The television really, really, really bombard everybody with so much advertising to change
Hmm.
to something different. And you're absolutely right. They do not know what your special needs are. I don't think it's personable, like I know the services that you have provided to many in our community. So those that is really, really good information. Also, I mentioned you mentioned about the food card. I've heard that a number of people uh, receive the food card. My mom does, and my sister. They both
Mm.
do receive that as well. They both get Medicare and Medicare, Medicaid. Is
There
that
you go.
correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
correct. And
I
actually,
tell
so
you,
let's pause there because this is important too about the Medicaid, right? So I'm Access
mhm,
Center certified with Department of Children and Family, right? So there's a certification you have to go through
mhm,
to be able to help individuals apply for food stamps and Medicaid, um, and get them those services in place, and also their recertification. So sometimes they get a letter from Department of Children and Families saying that they need to recertify their Medicaid. Okay.
mhm,
Also, what most people don't understand is when you think Medicaid, people think it's just Medicaid, but it's way more complex than that. There are
mhm,
7 levels to Medicaid. Okay. And
mhm,
depending on the level that an individual has, it's going to impact those Medicare Advantage plans that you just mentioned. So
mhm,
they may not be able to be on with one company, but they may be able to be with another company based on that level of Medicaid that they qualify for. So I just really want to hone in on that point, because a lot of people get confused there. And as well, they should be confused. They need to be talking with somebody like me so that I can
mhm.
kind of break it down for them because you just said it, it's a lot of information.
Yeah,
And
yes.
as a layperson, you're not, and I always tell people, you don't have to know this. That's why you have me, because I do it every day. And then I get to see different situations that I've helped people through. For instance, somebody was SLMB level of Medicaid and they were with United and they had co-payments. And, they didn't understand that. I did because I know that for that particular carrier, you can't have SLMB, QI1, or 2 other levels and be with United. That being said, you can have SLMB and be on a Humana dual eligible special needs plan and still get the food card and still get everything.
Mhm,
So as you can see, if we would kept talking about that particular component, that could be one segment, on.
mhm. All right, we have a freeze up. I'm on. This is T and Conversation Live with Kris Assefa with Blue Sky Insurance Solution. And if you need any more information, you can call her at 813-360-1884. This is what I do know, Kris, for sure. Is the older I've gotten, the more information and knowledge I need to know because I am in that senior window. And trust me, people in their 30s and 40s don't know this information. People when they're in their 50s, they don't know the information. A lot of times, don't know information about definitely with your parents until they may have to go into a rehab center. You don't know what their insurance plans are, if they have Medicare, if they need Medicaid. All of those different things start to happen definitely when we become of age in that senior window. So it is definitely, you said it. If you don't know, you are definitely the one that can get people on the right page and educate people in our community on all of these plans and insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, and very knowledgeable on all of these topics, these subjects on all of the plans. I just want you to go one more thing for us on Medicare Part D and Part C.
Mhm.
That's another thing I hear our seniors, if they're talking, oh, I have Medicare Part C or I have Medicare Part D, or once
Yeah,
they get to a point that they need it, they don't have it and don't know that they needed it as well.
sure. And that's a good point that you brought up. So I always try to teach people the ABCs of Medicare, right? And what does that look like and what does that mean? And as a matter of fact, I was having a conversation with somebody who's going to onboard with me as a broker about that. So people who are in maybe their 40s who are dealing with their parents, they need to come sit with me because they're dealing with their parents and they need to understand the lay of the land, what the person has in place, what their loved one has in place, and the implications of what it means for them. And I've had that conversation with, 30, 40-year olds who are, helping their parents at that stage. The other thing you said, right? So funny you say that. So we've been talking about uh, Medicare. You just said Part C and Part D. Okay. So when I'm sitting with somebody, and I wish Miss Cece was here. Do you remember what I told you? Because so I make them write it down. I do. So and
She,
Ronnie, I sat with Ronnie, and
yes,
he'll tell you, Rodney, what I say, Rodney, he'll tell you, Kris, I
yes,
really didn't understand this, right? So Medicare Part C, and this is what the folks, that's why I say the media, and that's I'm gonna cuss right now, that gosh forsaken TV, they do not say
yes,
Medicare Advantage. They say, hey, do you know about your Part C benefits? Well, when I sit down with everybody, I make them say it to me at least 3 times. I say, you are on a Medicare Advantage plan. What is that also known as? Part C. Then I say it to them again. I say, do you know what Part C is? And then they say Medicare Advantage. I say, do you know what that means? And then I say, not yet, Kris. Help me. So your A plus your
yeah.
B plus your D, because you
Mhm.
mentioned D, the prescription drugs, equals C.
Prescription.
That's why I said CMS, the government, is really trying to twirl your head with confusion in terms of how these things make sense, because they don't. So your part A plus your part B plus your part D, which is your prescription drugs, equals part C, also known as Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantage. And you're taking me down a rabbit hole. It gets even deeper than that. There are
Mhm.
different types of Medicare Advantage plans. Can you name
Mhm.
2 types? There's HMO and there's PPO. Then there's
Mhm.
POS. Then there's fee for service. So there's more. I mean, like I said, I don't want to keep talking because I want you to be able to ask your questions, but there's
Mhm.
so much more. Do you want to be on an HMO? Do you want to be on a PPO? Do you know what that means? So HMO means Health Maintenance Organization. It means 95% of the time you need referrals from a primary care doctor. PPO.
Mhm.
PPO means Preferred Provider Organization. In general, it means that you don't need referrals. So let me ask you a question. Do you think the costs, meaning your co-payments, are going to be higher or lower on a PPO where you don't need referrals? Do you think your co-payments are going to be higher or lower?
Probably higher.
Apps, you got it. Ding, ding, ding.
Higher.
Right? So if you're on a PPO type product, you have more freedom, you have more flexibility in and out of network privileges.
Mhm.
HMO, Health Maintenance Organization, primary directing every single step means
Mhm.
that your costs. So in general, like if you're on an HMO type product, your specialist copayment can be anywhere from $0 to maybe $10 or 20, depending on the carrier. A PPO product in Florida. So I'm just talking Florida. I'm licensed in 3 states: Florida, New York, and Georgia. So, because I help my mom in New York and other
Mhm.
folks in New York, and I have a few clients in Georgia. So, in Florida, for the most part, the HMO products, because everybody says this statement to me, and I have to make sure they understand. They say, well, it doesn't cost me nothing when I go to my doctor. So I say to them,
Yes.
okay, let's put it in context. That is for
Mm-hmm.
your primary care doctor. Now,
Mm-hmm.
your specialist copayment is going to be anywhere from $0 to $45. I think is the highest with one of the carriers on even on a
Mm-hmm.
PPO. So just
And
really
that's on for.
down and going over that stuff with folks is important.
Mm-hmm. And again, people don't know it until they get it. I know in like in the workforce, when you get hired on a job, they bring someone in and explain to you about the insurance that you are going to be receiving. So this should also happen once you have to get once you get Medicare, uh, if you get Advantage plans, finding someone that could sit down with you and explain all the information that's needed before you make a decision. You can also, everyone that's on, those that's going to be listening later, check out her website, www.blueskyinsurance.com, for all the information as well. And if you would like to speak with her and make an appointment, go over all of this information, you can give her a call at 813-360-1884. And one thing I did hear you say, and I think this is important, is for if we have parents, um, our aunties, our uncles, a lot of times we have to make sure that they have, the right plans, things in place, is to make sure that we could connect with someone that know. Also, I want to touch on life insurance. Do you cover that as well?
Absolutely, unequivocally, and all day, every day. So our approach to life insurance is a little bit different. So just like with the Medicare side, and I want to go back there for a second because we've
Okay.
only kind of been talking about Medicare Advantage plans. What I want to
Okay.
make sure people know is that if you have original Medicare Part A and Part B, there are other options besides Medicare Advantage plans. You can be on original Medicare plus a supplement and a
Mm-hmm.
prescription drug plan. Usually, people who have excess resources and somewhat more well off will go that route because
Mm-hmm.
it's more expensive if you do it that route. That being said, it
Mm-hmm.
does give you more freedom and flexibility because I just don't want people to think that we're only talking about Medicare Advantage plans before I talk about life insurance. So that's why I said the starting point is educating you on what it means to have Medicare. And then I do my Robert Frost poem, Two Roads Diverged in the Woods, and we'll talk about, there are different pathways that you can go
Yes.
on as a person who has Medicare. So I just wanted to kind of make sure that people kind of understand that. Now,
Yes. Yes. And
now,
I was gonna say, even
mhm,
even when I was doing nursing, I was for a while I did the marketing liaison for a couple rehab centers and was out at the hospitals recruiting, I would say, patients to come into their facility. And the majority of the facilities really wanted people that had straight Medicare.
mhm,
They wanted straight Medicare, and
mhm.
because it provided more, and the amount of money that they would get. And I'm just throwing this number out. They would get 350 a day versus with an Advantage plan, it would be maybe $110.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a balancing act. Now that you've gone down that little rabbit hole, before we go to life insurance, let's talk a little bit more about what that looks like. So
Hmm.
if somebody they can't just only have original Medicare. And I was just at this conference for the life insurance side this past weekend, and it was so
Hmm.
funny. So we came to a middle ground about it because she was in the nursing field or something like that, and all
Hmm.
of them, yes, they want people to just have original Medicare. And I said to
Hmm.
her, well, let's talk about that. Do you know both Part A and Part B of Medicare have deductibles? Right? So that's the amount a person needs to pay first. The Part A deductible is $1,676. The Part B
Mhm.
deductible is $257, right? And then it goes to an 80-20 split. So, meaning you plop down your red, white, and blue card to a doctor or a facility or wherever, they're going to cover 80% of cost of services. You better have some really
Mhm.
deep pockets if a catastrophic situation occurs because you have a 20% cost exposure. And if
Mhm.
someone, God forbid, were to have a hospital stay, 20% of, okay, let me be conservative, 70,000. Well, we know, a hospital stay is probably a little bit higher than that. A lot of people, that's not going to work, right? One of the number one things that people talk about in terms of bankruptcy nowadays is medical bills, right? So it's
Mhm.
always a balance. Can we do it that way? Can they have original Medicare and a supplement and a prescription drug plan? If they can do it that way, I facilitate that, right? But in our community, for the most part, the income brackets are, I don't know, not conducive for that scenario happening a lot of the time. We just have to be real about it, you know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's a back and forth
Absolutely.
with them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's why I could not understand with some of the facilities in our community that wanted straight Medicare. I would say to them over and over and over again, the majority of the people in our community are not on straight Medicare. Period. Yeah, but yeah, thank you so much
yeah,
for explaining that to me and to our listening audience. And
sure.
yeah, you're listening to Tea and Conversation Live. I'm on with my good friend, sister, Kris Assefa with Blue Sky Insurance Solution. If you have any questions and you would like to call her, you can do that as well. Make an appointment. That's 813-360-1884. And I just want to touch a little bit on that life insurance.
Sure. So we're not just talking about life insurance, right? Because people just have, especially in our community, totally in. Okay, here's the statement. If what you thought were not true, when would you want to know? If what you thought
Mm.
about something were not true, when would you want to know that it isn't true?
Wow. I don't know the answer.
So you want to know right away, right? If what you think is
Yeah.
true turned out not to be true, when would you want to know?
Mhm.
You'd want to know right away. So I put that statement out there because there is a lot of misinformation and sort of just a positioning in people's minds of what they think
Mhm.
about when people say the term life insurance.
Mhm.
So our approach is really helping to, same thing on the Medicare side, educate people, right? And how we do it is in the context of two questions that we're starting to ask folks, right? First question is, are you 100% sure you're going to have a great retirement, or do you have any doubt? So
Mm.
think about that, listening audience. If you have doubt, then it's conversation time, right? The second question is, um, what if I could show you a way that you could pay off all your debt, mortgage, credit cards, student loans, any sort of revolving debt that you have in 9 years or less without you spending any additional money than you're spending right now? Would that be a conversation that you'd want to have? And
Wow.
so I've done it for myself. So that's why,
Mhm.
you know me, Candy. I'm straightforward. I'm candid, right? So,
Yes.
so many folks in our community I could help if they would just open
Yeah.
their minds to the way they think about things. Sit down, let's do an analysis of your situation. And in probably 8 out of 10 cases, 9 out of 10
Mhm.
maybe, we can make it better. What it requires first is a mindset shift. So
Mm-hmm.
those questions, because there are life insurance is just like everything else, is it's a tool, and it's a potentially a tool, and there's so many different types of products. So i, I don't focus for anyone on product. I focus on having a conversation with you, figuring out where you're at, what's important to you, helping you to have paradigm shifting uh, moments in the
Mm-hmm.
conversation. Because here's the other thing I love to say: you know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again and expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm.
So I find folks in the community, well, my mom, my grandma, and everybody else did it a particular
Yeah.
way. So, but that's not giving you the elevation that we want. And then as a collective, because it's about our collectiveness and our collaborative spirit, which we're all on the same frequency about, who rock with you, who rock with me. Then if we're in a better position financially, that gives our community, oh, I'm getting it, a voice, right?
Yes.
That gives us the
Yes.
opportunity to have a voice, because we can collectively pool our resources together in a way that is meaningful, and in a way that the people who are in positions to really make an impact, guess what they'll do? They will listen to us, because
Mm.
the ship and everything is running smoothly. And we're not, chasing all these catastrophes in our life. We're stabilized, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I would say regarding that. Have a conversation with me. It's not going to make anything worse for you. And it could potentially make things
Mm-hmm.
significantly better. Like if I had
Yeah.
started using the things that I'm using now 10 years ago. So you see Russell, right? I posted on Facebook. He's studying for his exam now. So
Yes.
because
Yes.
he sees me, he sees what I do in the community, he sees the life that we have. So
Yes.
if that is not showing you have a conversation with me, hello, he's 20. You know how they are. They don't listen to anything you say.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But let me say this, they may not listen, but they watch and they mimic what they see, whether it's good or bad. They mimic. And you have set many examples, you and your family. And trust me, he pays attention to what he sees because most of them rebel against what we say, but that only lasts a short time anyway. They tend to come back and do just what we ask them to do. So yeah, I watch your post and watch the success that he's doing and the success he's going to just drive right on into and going to be an outstanding citizen in our community. Yeah.
Yeah, we need all of them for sure, and just like your tribe. And I love that you post everything that you do with, the grandkids and everything like that. So people, really get to see, the things that we need to do to, give back to the next generation in just being their kind of ways. I love it. I'm always watching you and them grandbabies running around town. So I love that component of, your, what do we call that? That your vulnerability, right? You have
Yeah.
to be vulnerable and share, because that's how people will grow, even if it somewhat feels uncomfortable, because it's a part of, your, what we call our personal life. But how else are we going to help everybody else?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely by showing it. And thank you so much um, for that. I get great joy with my grandboys. Um, I was with K3 when he was born and being able to show him off and highlight and just all of the things. And I'm not into do what I say. And not as I do. So I love trying to set the best examples for him and the other two little boys. And I know that you do the same. If you don't have anything else to add to our great conversation that I know
I
so
do
many
have one
people.
other thing to add. We didn't touch on, right, me. So I'm not Medicare eligible, right? I'm an
Okay.
entrepreneur. Do I have insurance?
Yes.
Do you think I have insurance? Health insurance?
I I did not. I had a really good network of friends, physicians that allowed me to come in to their offices, and I paid minimum amounts over the years, and
Mhm.
that is the way that I did it the majority of the time.
Well, see, you're lucky you have that because of the field that you were in. But
Mhm,
like me, so I help people. A lot of people don't know that they can qualify. I'm on an ACA plan, ACA
mhm,
Affordable Healthcare Plan through the marketplace. So anybody out
mhm,
there who needs health insurance, who's not Medicare eligible, I can I have until January 15th that I can help. And I've helped a lot of folks in the community with the affordable, not so affordable healthcare plans through the marketplace. Everybody calls it Obamacare, and they only
mhm.
call it that because he was the president who was in
Yeah.
office that signed off
Mhm,
on the legislation, but it's really
yeah.
the affordable healthcare plans. And like all sides of my business, I am a broker. So I
Mhm,
represent all of them. And I would say the one other thing is if you follow me on Instagram, it's blue skies underscore, then you really get to see like all the stories about
mhm,
all of the things that we do underneath the umbrella. The website really doesn't have all of that, but Instagram and Facebook do have a little bit more depth into everything that we try to do in the community. And the team is growing. And also, my last plug will be for young people like Russell or in your 20s, right? If you're looking for an opportunity to, number one, impact the community in a positive way. Number two, you want to kind of be your own boss. One of my best friends, Tahir Robinson, she's an assistant principal at Memorial. She just finished her license. She's on my team now. I have Russell. I have a lot of folks in the community who always ask me, but have a conversation with me. I'll show you how you can get your license and be able to help people and also make a nice living doing that.
mhm. Thank you so much for that. I may reach out to you on that. I'm in my senior window and trying to find something maybe part time. I'm just talking. But listen, thank you so much for jumping on with us. One of the things I did see on your website was the marketplace, and a number of people that I have come across that are entrepreneurs have signed up for the marketplace. And that is another uh, insurance coverage that a lot of people have gotten, but not understanding exactly what they are bought into. So I know that's something as well that you are able to explain to people, get them signed up for the marketplace as well, if need be.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys. And thank you so much, Kris, for
You're
joining
welcome.
me this afternoon and giving us some really good information, knowledge, nuggets that we can take for ourselves, for our family members, those out there that have to take care of our family, our parents, our uncles and aunts, or even our neighbors sometime, making sure that they are aware and knowledgeable. If you need any information, you definitely can give Kris a call at 813-360-1884. And again, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. And this was wonderful information. And I'm going to play this back for my mom and let her listen to it, and several other people, making sure that they get the information as well. Thank you so much for
Sure.
joining me.
And I do either I go to their home or they can come to my office. I just work with whatever works best for the individual. Normally, I'm going to their homes, but some people do like to come into the office. So, whichever way works best for the individual, that's what I'm here for.
Give us that address again.
So it's 3407 East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. I'm literally right next to the Coles Barber Shop on East 34th and MLK. So if you walk to the barbershop door, you pass my door. It is only by appointment because you know me, I'm not sitting in an office, I'm out in the community. So if somebody wants to make an appointment, they will have to call me. And if anybody needs help applying for or reapplying for their food stamps, their Medicaid, I've gotten calls today to be able to do that. So they call me and then I'll just go in and sit with them and take care of that as well.
Mhm, mhm. All right. You heard it first right here on Tea and Conversation Live. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And I will see you on the next Tea and Conversation Live. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye. Appreciate you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Absolutely. Always. Much love. Bye bye.